Welcome to the methods tutorial for 60229 to 6029 for mentors in this course. Mentors, I wanted to specifically give you some time to just go over how it's laid out in Canvas as we have embarked on the virtual version of this course. If you've been with us long, you remember what it was like before when you just literally did everything one-on-one and you kept track of things yourself, and it was wonderful, and we hope to get back to that at some point. During this time of virtual learning, obviously everything has had to be moved online to Canvas, and to house everything in there, it has been organized as closely as we can to make it as understandable as possible. I know that many of you are new to Canvas, so this could be a little bit overwhelming, but that's why I wanted to make this video, to be sure that you understood how it was laid out. And if you've done this once before, all of those little kinks that we were working through in the summer have been worked out, but please at any time let me know, myself or Kimberly Athens, whoever your instructor of record is, if there are issues that need to be changed. And I myself, Lori Call is my name, will change those with Susie Irby in our curriculum development department. So we will take care of that. So I just want to kind of go over how Canvas is laid out for you. The first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to be added as a TA, because the only people that can be in this course are the faculty member that's the instructor. That would be me in Bakersfield, Lori Call, and that would be Kimberly Athens in Mission Valley. And then what we do, how I design the course, is then we add you as the mentors as a TA, a teacher's assistant, and you have access to everything, including grading it. You can do everything in there the same that we can. Okay, so then that puts you in the course and you have access to all of the information. So you're going to have access to these buttons down the left. And what I want to be sure that you are the most aware of is the two different places you can visit. Okay, the first place is the main classroom. So the main classroom will include all of these buttons here, and these are the items that every single person in the class, outside of your content area, everyone, have access to, because they all have the same assignments. Okay, when you were teaching in person, as you each were teaching in your different content area, the assignments were all the same, but like, for example, the IEP assignment, but it's focused on your particular content area, which could be in language arts or music or math, whatever it might be. So you've got your two main places you're going to visit, the main classroom, and then I'm going to go ahead and go there now, the people tab. This is where your groups will sit. So imagine it's as if it's a place where you can go to have those virtual meetings that you would have done in person. So you've got the main classroom, when you go back to these main buttons here, and then your personal page. You have your very own page that you need to populate with whatever content you would like to. So when you go to the people tab, here is, I've already got it laid out for you by each content area. So when you clicked here, if the students were loaded, all of your students could be visible here. Let me show you one that's populated from the summer. So for example, here the English Language Arts group had these students listed, and you would know who those students are. Okay, and then you can visit your page. For example, this is what your page would look like. Now this is where you can add all of your content. This is where, for your team, you want to put, for your group, your content area group, you want to give announcements. You can create pages to put content here. Here's weekly schedule this previous mentor used. Here's the page of who's in the group. Okay, well, this is a big group. Who are, this is where you can have discussions. You can actually set this up to have virtual discussions where they're talking digitally, you know, throughout the week, back and forth. It's not live. Here's where you can place files of content you want to, you know, populate and use as you're teaching, supporting your candidates. You can have conferences here, and you can set up collaborations. If you do Zoom, which I would highly recommend, you would just want to put as a, you know, as an announcement with the link or on a page in some way or another. Okay, here's a link. This is how this particular mentor did that. So each of you have your very own website, so to speak, your very own little Canvas classroom, okay? So reminder again, you're going to have the main classroom here with all these modules. This is the main classroom where everyone will be. And then it'll be narrowed down to content when you click on the People tab and you go to your group. Okay, so now for example, let me switch back over. Here, there aren't any students populated, but if there were students in here, when I clicked on Mentor Group, either you or the faculty of record needs to pull the students in. So it would be very easy to do. There would be a list of students over here. See how it says there are currently no students, but if there were, you click and drag and just drag them over and pull them in. And then only those students can visit those pages, right? So only your business students could visit your business Canvas classroom, okay? So you've got your main Canvas classroom and your content specific classroom in which you do all your one-on-one work with those students. Okay, so let's go back to the main classroom. As a reminder, 6022 through 6029 are the numbers of the courses, and each of them have a different number according to the content area. This will have the Meet the Instructor and course syllabi, which let's take a look at that next. They are all separate here. So this is where you'd want to visit for the specific content area syllabi for the course. Make sure you go over that with your students so they understand what's expected. This announcement button is where I or Kimberly will make announcements. Okay, so this is where we'll give general announcements for everyone. You make your announcements in the People tab in your content area group. Okay, that's where you would make your announcements for just your students. The modules are laid out by weeks. Up here though, you're also going to see, you will see this and not students, but there's instructor notes. That would be for myself and Kim. And then down here, there's a welcome email letter that we send. This lists who the mentors are in both locations. And then here is where you're going to have this online training where it's going to sit. And then mentor notes to give you some tips to think about when you're launching into this course. Okay, students are required to complete an academic honesty verification, and Kim and I will be the ones who grade that. But then we launch into the weekly assignments. They are laid out by theme. So week 1 is IEP in your content area. Week 2 is ELLs in your content area. 3 is technology in your content area. 4, Common Core or state standards implemented in your content area. And 5 is research in your content area. So those are the main topics of those 5 for those 5 first weeks. The 6th week, you're focusing on finishing up the competencies for each of your students. 7th week is reflection, and 8th week is submitting the competencies that should have been completed. So if you look at each week, it's laid out the same. You're always going to have an overview. That's very critical. You make sure your students read to start with. This is where they get all the background knowledge to launch into whatever topic you're in for that week. So, and then you've got one discussion. During the first week, the discussion there's 2 of them because there's an introduction and then there's an IEP or topic discussion. And then generally every week there's only 1 assignment. I think 2 weeks there's 2 assignments that total 20 points. And then you always have a competency method activity. This is what you're working on together to develop activities to show that they know what they need to be able to do in their content area, okay? And then it follows that pattern for each week: overview, discussion, assignment, competency. You are required to meet a total of 30 hours, 15 face-to-face in Zoom together to work towards planning for those competencies. And then the other 15 are completing the competencies, and I'll get to that in a moment here. So that's how it's laid out. So the overview, though, that it's so important that your students, first thing they look at each week is the overview. It tells them what they're going to be doing for the week, focusing on what the CLOs are, and their background information they need to know that's going to help them. I have researched and put together all kinds of resources as I built this course to support your students in that content area, so you're not necessarily, in that subject like IEP here, so that you're not the one having to come up with all of that. That you're able to focus your time on specific activities and skills in their content area. So the next list that's really, really important every week, that's going to change every week, is their competencies table, okay? So the competency table stays the same. For example, again, so when I click on this button here that says table, it will download, and that will be your full competency table. So let me pull one up. For example, this is ELA. So here are the competencies that have to be completed by the end of the course. So instead of obviously attacking them all at once and doing them all in 1 week, they have been divided into the 7 weeks, really 6 weeks. It's been divided into 6 weeks to break it down in smaller chunks and smaller pieces. Also to be focused on that topic for the week. So any competencies based on IEPs will be that week, or ELLs will be that week, if that makes sense. So as you look here, week 1, when we're talking about an individualized education plan, an IEP, these are the competencies that are assigned for you to complete with them this week: differentiating and providing instruction for ELA, health, coordinated school health program, individual and cultural differentiation, and so on. So these are the ones you're going to focus on for that week. Every week in the overview is going to be a different set to be focused on, because it's related to the topic of the week. Okay, so your students, it's very important your students know what's in the overview and that you direct them to be there, to go there first. Okay, so you're also going to need to schedule time with your mentees each week, obviously. So you'll meet them here in your virtual group classroom, content area classroom. So you'll place links in here to meet by Zoom or Google Hangout. And if you need 15 hours that you meet face to face, you're going to need to break that down by weeks, by 6 or 7 weeks to complete all of that. So just break that down a few, 1.5 hours a week, whatever it's going to take to make that goal. And then during that time, you're going over assignments. What is the assignment this week that everyone has to do? Let's focus on how that could be connected to, how do we focus that on your content area? And then also you're focusing on the competencies, that competency table. What competencies are we focused on this week, and what activities are you going to do this week to show me that you know and understand how to teach those competencies, okay? So the other thing I want to show you here is I want to go to the example of the group homepage. This is ELA. I have placed here for everyone on the pages, I made a page called the methods log. Those 30 hours that are required to be completed together need to be kept track of. So this is the log that's going to do that. So this at the end, you're going to put on here, all right, you've filled it out, and I'll show you down at the bottom, but here's their independent work. This is what they did, independent work on their log, and they were able to complete their 15 hours. You're filling this out. What did they do with you to complete those 15 hours? You're filling this out. Here's a review of the covered competencies. Here's an overview of what they need to be doing each week, and you're going to give them a score here, which you're also going to give them a score in Canvas. You are the scorer of everything but the discussions. The instructor of record will score the discussions, but we need you to participate in those discussions within the main classroom, okay? So we've got the due dates for each week and each content, a total of 350 points. You keep track of that, and that tells you what grade they get at the end that you will be assigning to them as the mentor. And then here's the log. You can, change this into a Google Doc to share and look at in real time together, or you can just keep uploading it as a Word doc. It's completely up to you, but this is where all of the information for those 30 hours needs to be kept, okay? All right, so let's go back, and when I'm thinking of grades, let me just make sure you know how this works. So every time they submit something to you, okay, you are the one that knows that they've submitted it by going to, you can go to the modules, you can go to grades. If I go to grades, I can see each student's name. Notice there are none, but I would see the student's name, and then here there would be a little piece of paper or something here that would show that they have submitted and turned it in, and then I could just type in the score. I also can go by modules. So let's say there's an assignment here for week 1. Here's the assignment. I'm going to click on it. Here's what the assignment was that they were required to do. And then when I click on Speed Grader over here, I can see who has submitted. Obviously this is a test student, all my students aren't in here. If it was submitted, it would be right here. I could look at it, grade it, and over here give it a grade of 1 to 20, whatever, it'll tell you the score here. Okay, and then click submit or give notes or attach something, make a video, make an audio, any of those things in order to score. Then I toggle through each student, and I would obviously pick my students. You don't want to pick the students in other content areas, okay, because those are not your students too, you need to worry about. So just toggle and find your students. All right, so I think that is basically all. That's just an overview, not as quick as I would have liked, but it is an overview. Please do not hesitate to contact myself, Lori Call, the instructor of record for the Methods course in Bakersfield, or Kimberly Athans, A-T-H-A-N-S, the instructor of record in Mission Valley. We'd be happy to help you at any time. Thank you so much for all you're doing for our students. We're so grateful for you, and thank you for your patience during this lovely and exciting virtual remote learning time. We really appreciate all you do and the time you will be spending with your students. Thank you very much.